Hey guys, so yesterday was kind of crazy, right? Wow. Oh man. The Donald was firing on all cylinders, and both literally and figuratively. I mean, just because you have a poor jobs print doesn't mean that you should just go ahead and fire the head of the BLS and call it a conspiracy theory and that jobs are manipulated. You have to be off your rocker to believe that that's what's happening. Really and truly, I don't know how many times somebody just needs to say this, but it is a data quality issue. I mean, look, I've said this many times that you're going to eventually see weakness show up in these like more timely estimates of job growth, like the establishment survey, which is what gets quoted in terms of that figure, because there's enough discrepancies between even something like the establishment household survey, like things that we got yesterday, that it was enough to make you question, okay, something is not right here. And so really the sort of the end all be all would to be to go and look at something like the QCEW, the quarterly census of employment and wages, and that is really the source of the establishment survey. And when you do that, and as I've indicated many times now, it's basically telling you that jobs are overstated, job growth. So, but again, you could. That's not really, I guess, as sexy as some of these more timely numbers that we get. And the reason, right? I mean, something like that matters, the QCEW, it's a straight count of jobs, okay? There's no sampling involved. There's no statistical imputations, none of that. It is just the numbers, okay? So, yes, I mean, my takeaway from whether it's all these, revisions that we keep getting, or the fact that job growth is very lopsided to even something like healthcare and government, which, as I've said, is in and of itself an indication that you're likely, headed into a recession, if not already in one. Uh, if that's occurring and you're already seeing very weak job growth in these likely overstated monthly estimates that we're getting, can you imagine where we are right now? Okay, so all of this adds up to a pretty, like, just if we're having a brutally honest conversation about all these things, I think we're already in a recession, and that can be true even when the unemployment rate is low, because number one, that's only one measure of labor underutilization. And number two, something like the unemployment rate is very mechanical in terms of how it's calculated, and it's heavily influenced by something like labor force flows, not the level, okay? Right, I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but if we're talking about specifically the mechanical nature of it, the flows from one month to the next, specifically this flow from, and it's a rather large one, employee to not in the labor force. If you look at that by sex, it still remains, and normalized, it remains elevated. It's going to take that thing coming down uh, before you start to see the unemployment rate move higher, meaningfully higher, all things equal. But I would just say it's kind of arbitrary at this point. There are already large cohorts of the population that, um, all things equal, I mean, I would say they are in a textbook recession, especially like younger people, which now you're again hearing more people talk about. Also, this idea of labor force flows, or the fact that I keep saying this, and now it's, more people are now talking about it. Okay, that you can have a relatively low unemployment rate, which I again think there's way too much emphasis on a single measure like that, and the labor market can be weak at the same time. And it was a matter of like really taking a holistic approach, trying to reconcile something like the establishment survey to the household survey, and the QCEW. If you were to look at all three of those things, you would say something it is clearly not adding up. Okay. So, I just see so much grift out there these days, and, like people are just trying to sensationalize these things, and more often than not, they have no idea what they're talking about. Like the birth death model is like a sexy term that people like to throw around. They think it's trendy, and more often than not, they have no idea what that even means and why it's even there, which is just annoying. It's not helpful to anybody. So it's there for non-sampling error. Okay, that's why it's there. I honestly, I just wish there's too much emphasis on the here and now. If we could just take a step back, and if you wanted to keep it real simple, stupid, we could just look at the QCEW. But it's only through December of 2024, and no, we need it now. We need an answer in terms of the labor market now, or it's healthy because jobless claims are low. I've already talked about that one too. People just are simply not claiming those benefits like they used to, and gig work is part of that equation. And that things do change. It's just, I don't know. Guys, there's a decent chance if something just doesn't seem right, there might be a plausible explanation for that. And that explanation may not be what you want to hear, but you still need to probably know if that is the case one way or the other, right? So, anyway, yeah, one other thing. Why would Donald Trump, I'm not a political person at all, but I mean, if you want to really create a bunch of conspiracy theories, then just talk about how the numbers are manipulated and just continue to hollow out our institutions. That's, really, really, really irresponsible. I'm not a political person again, but anyway, guys, it's just going to probably get worse from here, right? So if we know that something like the 73,000 is what the preliminary reading is, and rates are still where they are, it's not going to get better. Okay, and 1 month of data is not enough to refute a statement like I'm making, because the broader trend is a slowdown. All right, so okay, guys, that's all I got. Have a good one.